Yeah. So what is a thread group? Tejshvi? Hello? Hello, Tejshvi, are you there? Okay. Yeah, Sweta, what is ramp up?
Ramp up period is like how much a waiting time need to be there for each user to hit the application.
Okay. Okay. So Nirila, what is the loop count? Hello, Nirila. I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how many times we need to run the request? Is it infinite times, or if it is a number of times?
Okay. So Tejshvi, are you there? Not sure. Okay, fine. So clear, right? So users is nothing but how many users you want to run our script. This is our main. If you give 5 or 10, it will run that much of users. Ramp up is nothing but your user gap. So how to define user gap is ramp up by number of users. Loop count is nothing but how many times you want to iterate your script per user. Okay. And delay thread creation until needed is required to when you're running in a low configuration machine, whenever you want to save the memory, to utilize in while running script, you can check that option. Specify thread left to nothing but whenever you want to run your thread for a long time. So this duration will applicable only your script execution time is more than this. If it's less than this, it will take your script execution time only. Startup delay is nothing but to when to start. Once you click on run button, if you some time delay, then after some delay, it will start the script. Okay. So we are discussing this one, right? Action to be taken after sampler. What is sampler?
Request.
Yeah, it's a request. So whenever a request got failed, so why we have to handle? Because we are running a script with lakhs of requests. Let's say your script has 30 APS and running with some 20,000 only. And you are hitting around 20,000 into 30. Right? 6 lakh requests will be hitting it. Out of 6 lakhs, we'll be checking the performance issues, not our scripting side issues, right? Because it's going to take 3 hours or 4 hours to finish the test. And if you say our script is failed due to our scripting issue, then again, you can't spend or you can't get the efforts. That's why we have to be very careful while doing a load testing, because your script should have 0 error, not 1%, 0 error. Then only it should start a load testing. Okay. So here we to avoid that, we are using this action to be taken after sampler error. Right. So yeah, let me duplicate these things only. Okay. Let's say just a copy pasted. Okay, to understand much better. Okay, and I will put all this in like, okay, right, so that it's clear, right? So your script should be like that. Okay, gradually you'll understand. Okay, so I have kept 4 APS here, right? So now what is my option here? Action to be taken after a sample error. Okay, means what I kept here continue means even the error just continue the script. That's what it meant, right? What action to be taken? Once the sampler is error, once your request is failed, what is the action? Action is continue. It means it will continue. So let's run the script with, I'll just uncheck everything. Okay. Right. Now it will run with one user only. Okay, it got passed, right? So there is no issues. When it's passed, we don't have to worry, but let's fail. So how to fail it? So if your application is failing, okay, then if application is failing, right, then only it will come. Now how to mimic the failure of errors? We have to mimic it now to understand this architecture. So how to create error now? How to create error? I will just put here some dummy server name. Now what happens? There is no server name, right? So obviously it will fail. So now clear and run. So now it failed. Okay. So we got error unknown host exception because there is no host of this one. That's fine. Now we got failed. So now what we kept here, whenever there is fail, continue. So it continued the, so we have an error in third request, but it's now continue fourth also. Because the condition is continue. But now let's check this option, start a next thread loop. It means what I'm saying is whenever there is error, start the next loop. Now let's run. Same 1 user. Okay, if I run it now, see it stopped at third request only. It didn't execute fourth. It didn't execute the fourth. Observe, right? Why didn't execute the fourth? Because of this condition. What I said, when there is error, start next thread loop. What is the loop count here? How many loops counts we have given?
1.
One. So that's why there is no next loop. That's why it couldn't continue. Stop the script. Suppose if I give 2. Okay, clear. And if run. See again. Once it failed, it gets status request. Again, it started from the first. Get status post. Again, it got error. It stopped again. So it won't execute the fourth request because of this error of third one. Okay, ideally, if I continue option, what will happen? It will run for this set of 1 with error, right?
Yes.
Fourth for 1, 2, 3, 4. But due to my condition here, start next loop, it won't execute the fourth one. I mean, it won't execute after the error part. Again, we'll try from the scratch. First request, make sure it will pass. When it pass in that loop, it may go to the fourth request. Right? Now let's run it again. Okay, now this time you got error here, not found. Why? Okay, something happened. So now what happened? We got error second request. Right? So what happened? Again, stopped immediately second request. Again, it went to the first and 2. I think the ID is gone as also. I think some has removed this ID. So that's why we got it not found. Yeah, that ID is there. That's why we got the data. Now the ID is not there. Understood right now? Now error in second request. So first request, second error to stop the script. If add as a loop, go again. First request, second as error, let's stop the test. There is no other loop. It's clear now? Start next thread loop. Start next thread loop means whenever there is error, start the loop. Okay. Suppose now if I give 6 here, so total how many requests will come including error? If I run the script now, I have error in the second request. Okay. And I have given this configuration. If I run the script now, what is the total number of APIs executed by JMeter, including the error one?
12.
12.
12.
Why 12?
6 into 2.
6 into 2.
Mm.
Right. Let's say I have error at 4. Assume that. I had an error at 4. Okay. So now how many requests will come if the error is at 4?
24.
24.
24, right? Because it will run error. Let's say error is at 1. First request. How many requests will come?
6.
6.
6. Because when is the error, it will stop it. Okay. So if it is a this next loop, right? If it is a like basic conditions. Okay. Like suppose some add to cart is failing. Assume that add to cart failing. So in that case, we use a next loop. Because add to cart failed, we can't proceed. So again, we'll have to go starting. Again, log in. Again, go to prod page. Again, add to cart. Okay. Now, next option is stop thread. Stop thread is nothing but stop the user. It's like advanced of this one. So here we are stopping the loop now. In one user, we are stopping the loop. Loop is for single user, right? Not all users. Correct. If I give 4 here, what happened? Each and every user go through 6 loops, and whenever there is stop, it will continue. And same thing will happen for other 4 users also. Correct? That's loop. Loop is for user perspective, right? Not the total number of users perspective. Correct? Same way, stop thread is nothing but it will stop the user. So let's see. Let's give 1 and 1 again. If I run the now stop thread, stop the fail, because same as right next loop or stop thread, because same is one loop. If I give 2 loop here, see, it didn't execute it second loop also. Whereas in the short next loop, it will go right. But here, what happening is it will controlling the user itself, not loop level. It controlling the user itself. Suppose I give 3. Three users, whenever there is error, it stop. So stop thread is nothing but in the user level. Even though you give 100 loop also, it won't execute. It will stop the particular user. Okay, now error is in the second request. Tell me how many requests will come if I run the script. Error is in the second request. And with this configuration, I kept stop thread here. If I run the script, what is the output of number of requests?
Two itself.
Two.
Two.
Others?
Yes, two.
No, 2, right? It's 714.
Into, yeah.
14. Yeah.
Because this will stop the particular user. How many users we have? 7.
7.
7 into 2, 14. That's what we saw, right? If you run, we have given 3 here and I ran, what happens? It executes 3 into 2, 6. Because this we are stopping the, not all users, a single user. The user who has got error, we are stopping that user only.
All users got error, no?
Sorry?
All users got error, no?
All users will get error. In our case, but in the real time, it varies. One user may go on through, one user may got error, like that. It's application dependence, right? In our case, we will get errors of each and everything. Clear, right? Stop thread. So this will be using if our scripting is, I mean, it's more important scenario. Even though even though it won't work with loop count, in that case we use a stop thread. Okay. Now stop test. Stop test means whenever there's error, it will stop the entire test. Okay. Means not now it's a loop level, this is user level, and this is a test level. Entire test will stop now. So let's run. So whenever detected the error, it will stop the entire. See, it detected error at here and here, it stopped the script. Now to understand much better here, right? Suppose if I given, let me open Excel. Okay, we have U1 user, U2, U3, U4, U5, let's say. Okay, I have request 1, request 2. If my ramp up is 1, what happens? Ramp up is 1, what happens?
Every 1 second, the request will.
So it means all 5 will start, right? All 5 will request 1. Correct. All 5 users will request 1, request 2 immediately. So if there is error detected, I mean, obviously U1 will be little bit higher, right? I mean, little bit faster than these all others, no? So if you detected error here, let's say R2 or user 2, then it means the script detected error, no? So, and the all other guys will be in the R1 position, correct? Almost. So then when you detect the error, it will stop the entire script. Let's say if I give ramp up as 100, what it means? Our user to user gap is how many?
100
What
seconds.
20 seconds. 5 users, right?
This is distribute.
100 by 5. How much?
20.
20. So in that case, what happened? You after user 1 hits, 20 seconds gap, user 2 will come, right? So in meanwhile, correct. So once R2 means error, then it will stop the script. It won't execute all other users also. Now let's see that again. So now I kept here 7 users, right? And if you see what happened here, if you check here, if you check which user, see this is a 1 user. And if you see second one, this is second user. Because these two will hit first na errors, ideally. Suppose if I give in here more ramp up, as I mentioned here, some 30 seconds. If I clear and run, see, oh, what is this? Okay, I've given, let me give much better count 100. If you see here, it stopped the script. Why? Because it didn't execute, otherwise because your ramp up is higher now. So that whenever it got the error, it stopped the script. It's clear, right? Stop is nothing but whenever detect error at any user level. Any user. Once it detects the error, it will stop the entire script. Understood, right? Start next loop is nothing but for looping. Stop thread is nothing but single user. Stop test nothing but entire test. Okay. Now next option is stop test now. So can you guess what is this? What is the stop test now would do? Can you guess based on whatever we learned right till now? Stop test now, what it would do?
Execution start period. Start like after execution start, script is stopped.
Others?
Stop. Once
Stop.
the error gets, it stops there itself. Whether how many users are there or not, it doesn't check it.
Then what is it? Stop test also do same thing, no?
Hmm.
Then what stop test now would do? No, generally just think what it could be. So, guys,
At stop test, we will be based on the ramp up. Whether if we give less time, it runs right, or if not, if you give the gap is more, then it can stop at the user level at first user. But whereas stop test now, it not even checks the gap. I hope so.
no, let's see. Stop test nothing but, let's say in the stop test, right? Assume that user 2 has the detected error. Okay, at that time, all others might be processing request 1, right? At least one of the user could have, I mean, in the ramp up 1 case. All others must be dealing with R1. So when you detect the error, if they're in processing in between, JMeter processing it in between, they are not completed. So in that case, in the stop test case, JMeter will wait to complete the responses. Then only it will stop the script. Whatever the requests which are in the middle in the pending execution and still waiting for the response. So JMeter wait for the response. Then once you finish, then only stop the script. Whereas stop test now means whenever detect error to stop immediately. Even though whatever they are waiting for the responses, no, it won't wait for them. So now let's run. You will see now lot of errors, because if you stop the ever JMeter script forcibly while running the JMeter script, stop the forcibly on the stop button, right? We'll get error because we are killing the process. So obviously it won't get the response. So obviously the request will fail. Same way JMeter will do. Let's run the script now. So where is the error? We have error at post update request now. Second one. But if you run the script now, see we got get also error. See, ideally we should get error on post now. Why you got error get? Because see, this is a post request got detected by error at the first user. So immediately all others you see, third user, fifth user, fourth user. So they are still running. So stop test no nothing but it will stop the script immediately without waiting for anyone. Like it's like kind of very emergency. If whenever our main model is not working, at that time we use a stop test now because we can't proceed without that one. Whereas stop test nothing but same the stop test also. So here, whoever is waiting for this get right, the geometry will wait to complete the responses. Then only it will stop the script. Whereas stop test now nothing but it will stop the script immediately without waiting for any responses. Whenever let me keep continue here, okay. And if I give okay, if I give infinite loop, okay. Normal condition, right? Without anything. If I run the script now, okay, let's disable this post. Okay. Guys, please mute yourself if you are not talking. Oh, we got one more get status record. Okay, let me put. Okay, it's all passing, right? See, if I stop forcibly here, script, so it will fail. Because what I'm doing, I'm just closing the connection forcibly. So it will make error. Same thing will happen in the stop test now. This detect error, if you check this, like kind of, it will stop the test immediately. It won't wait for anyone. Okay, it's clear, right? Action to be taken after sampler error.
So generally, this will be useful only if the ramp up period is less, I think, right? Or in any case.
Not exactly like that. I mean, not exactly like that. Yeah. Either of the case, right? Whether ramp up is low or high, we want to stop the script when there is error.
Yeah.
But in the stop test now condition, I mean, you won't see other errors because it will I mean, it will detect the error earlier. So there is no other request could be in the processing. So then you won't see any other errors.
Yes, yeah. Right.
It's clear, right? Shall I go to next topic? So this is a thread group. No doubts in thread group, right? So can I add a HTTP request to test plan or a sampler to test plan, or can I add only thread group?
Only thread group.
Others?
Thread group.
Right, because if you see in the test plan, right click, add, I can't see sampler component itself. Okay, whereas if you click on thread group and add sampler, we'll see. So you can add only sampler request to thread group because without load, you can't run anything. Okay, now, can I have multiple thread groups in a single script? Yes. So you right click on test plan, add thread groups. You can add one more thread group here. But you can have only one test plan in a one JMX. Means your instance of geometry instance, right? You can have only one test plan. Okay. So the thread groups is like a script only. Whatever you do in internal of thread group, right? The extractions, the data, whatever you do, that are limited to this thread group only. By default, you can't pass the data of one thread group to other thread group. By default, we have some components where it can pass it. But by default, the scope of the variables which are defined in the thread group are limited to that thread group only. Ideally, we'll be maintaining a one JMX from one thread group. I mean, to make it simpler, but based on a project requirement, you have very huge script and you have to do, and instead of maintaining multiple JMX files, multiple scripts, you can define a thread groups here only. Because these thread groups are independent of each other. They won't run sequentially. They are independent of each other. They are like parallel only. Suppose I kept one, let me keep here one more request. Let me put the name. So thread group 2, TH2. Okay, and you're gonna define th1. Okay, now if you see what is the V-result scope, what is V-result scope? Where it is the line, where it is located? It's located at a global level, right? If you observe, it's in the same line of all thread groups. V-result. So the scope is, let me put 111. Okay, and second thread group also 111. So the scope is, you will see both the output of thread groups here. Thread group 2, thread group 1. Because if you see, right, see, it executes parallelly. Because thread groups are independent, like scripts only. But if I put V-registry here, so what is the V-registry scope now?
Only to that thread group.
Only the thread group. If I run the script now, I can't see the result of other thread group. I can see only th1. See, script is done and I can't see th2.
But script running, that thread.
Now its script will run. You won't see the output. Because you have to have, but if there is one more listener here, right, you can see here th2. Because we have other listener. So this is a way of defining the globally. So if you have multiple thread groups, you can define the common things, right? The listeners, the cashier, header, cookie manager, you can define a global level so that it will be applicable to each and every one. If not, you can define your individual scripts.
Okay, test plan level created, this one, your results, right?
Yes. So now you can open multiple JMeter instances also. So if I go to bin, if I go to my jmeter.bat, I can open any instances till your memory supports. So these two are all again independent of each other. They won't bother whatever run here, whatever you run here. So you can maintain, you can run like this as well for debugging, for checking, like that. Okay. Yeah. So now you clear about HTTP request, right? What is the protocol, method, path, server name?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah. So now let's go to listeners. So the first listener which we'll using is from day one will be the V-registry, because this listener will help us to check our script is working or not. Only in this listener only you will see our request and response data. Out of that, we have other like around lot of listeners are there. In those listeners, you can't see the request and response. Okay, so this listener will help us while debugging script while writing the script, because our JMeter script will make sure, right, it should run whatever the load pattern or load model we discussed or design, it will run. So only in this case we'll check, okay, the response is coming or not, what we are expected, and request what we are sending, and like extractions, everything based on this only. But once you are done with your scripting, I mean, you know that our script is final and you can go for higher load test. At that time, you should disable the view result tree. You should disable on it, because view result tree itself take a lot of memory to render or to copy and display these things here, right? Assume that you're running for 1 lakh request and you kept view result tree, your script will fail in between out of memory or socket closed errors, because view result tree take a lot of memory to do these things. So it's always advisable to run your JMeter in a non-GI mode or without these listeners. Okay, so this view result tree only will be used only for our debugging purposes. Okay, so now let's see. In this view result tree component, we have the sample result, where this will give us your performance metrics data from our JMeter side. Okay, so in the, if you see here, thread name is nothing but whatever thread group 1 and 1. So have I given 1 here, right? No, right? By default, it will take thread group 1 as the first one. Okay, and -1 is the user. If I run 2 times, you will see 1-2, 1-3, 1-4. See here 1-1 for 1 user. If I run for, let's say, 3 users, registry. See 1-1, 1-2 is nothing but second user, 1-3 is nothing but third user. So 3. So this will help us to know which user is in which thread group. But if you give a loop count here, it won't display anything. Let's say give a loop count as 2, 1, 1. result tree. See, it displays same 1 1 1 1. For the loop code, there is no identification to use it. Okay, that's a static group. No, sample start. Sample start, you know, right? When the request has started from your machine. We discussed for sample start in ramp up, right? Ramp up only, na? We know we have seen the times, right? In the users table. When it started. Start time. Okay. Your sample time start time, nothing but when the request is triggered from your geometry script. Okay, now load time. So load time is nothing but your response time. So this is a value which will be concentrating throughout our script. So load time, by default, the units are milliseconds. It means 239 milliseconds. So to convert to seconds is into 1000, right? Millisecond to second. So now millisecond by second means, by 1000, not into 1000. Now we got a second. So 0.239 is the second value. So load time, you will see sometimes load time here, sometimes you will see response time, sometimes you will see average, sometimes you will see response like this. Any time is sampler time. Wherever you see that values are belong to response time. So this is the component. Once you're done with the scripting, script tables, then only we'll be concentrating on this value. So this value will tell us whether our script is good or bad. Okay. Yep. Next, connect time. So connect time. So before understanding connect time, let's understand our handshake connection. Okay. So to understand connect time, right, we should know what is the working mechanism beyond that. So I have a client. Okay. And I have a server. So server is always fixed, right? Client will change, right? It could be a mobile, it could be an app, it could be your testing tool or your code or anything from wherever you're hitting. Okay. And server is always fixed. So in that case, server will accept data in some fixed format, correct? If I send a XML or if I send HTML or TXT or JSON, out of this, it will accept only one, right? That's we don't know. Correct. So what happens, right? Whenever the client, whenever hit the API, the first it will do a handshake. Handshake, nothing but it will ask the client, ask the server, what format you required JSON or what is the thing you required. I mean, basic metadata. So then server responds to that, okay, I need in this format. So from that onwards, client will always send in that format request only. Once if you log out or if you close up Chrome, right? After some time again, you try to hit, again it will happen the handshake. So the only first time it will happen. So that's where you will see connect time. From second time, third time, fourth time onwards, you won't see the handshake because it's already know, right? What are the things it required? That's why you will see sometimes connect time 0 and sometimes you see 697 here. Now, if you see second request, it's 0 because it's all the connections happened. Understood, na? Connect time. So this is the connect time. So only first value or second value, you will see the value. For others, you will see 0. Okay. So now latency. So what is the latency? Latency is nothing but our network delay. The higher the gap or higher the routers between our client to server, you will see more latency. Okay. Now, your latency and connect time is part of your this time. A load time is a combination of connect time plus 230. I mean, support. If you see here, load time is 1391 because your connect time is 697, your latency is 1149. So these are all supports of load time. So here load time 1381. Here load time is 239 because your connect time is 0. and here the latency is increased. Okay, so these total 3 includes of your response time. If either one of the parameter connect time or latency increases, your response time will be increases. Okay, don't worry, we will explain more when we go to Visual Stable also. Okay, now size in bytes. What is size in bytes? Whenever you are downloading the data, right? The data, whatever the browser displays, that's called as bytes. So bytes nothing but now what is the bytes is 49 KB. You know, right? 49 KB is very less. But once you're downloading a files, right, CSV, JSON, or any files from, I mean, your URL, then you will see more size here, like 30 MB or 1 MB, 2 MB, like that. So if your size in bytes is kind of very less, it means it not processes the data. Okay. Now send bytes. Send bytes is what we are sending. If you're uploading a file, you will see more size here. Or if you're sending a normal payload, right? Very small payload, then it will be less. Same as header size. What is your header size count? Or body size, what are the body size? Okay. So along with this, the important things are response code and response message. If developer properly enable the conditions, I mean, properly designed the error code, then you will see, you can depend on this. But sometimes, whatever the use case you are, it will display 200. In that case, you shouldn't believe the response code. You should have to go to response and check them manually. So ideally, JMeter will display green color if response code is 200. Okay, and response message okay. So these are the things you should check in the views history, along with your request and response. So request, you know what you are sending, and request address, what address we are sending. Same as response, what response body is coming, and response address. Okay, it's clear, right? View history. So view history will be using for debugging the script. Initial stages. Once the script is stable, once you write assertions and everything, I mean, you can know without seeing the response tab. You should know your test case or fail or pass. So till that time, till that time only you should use a virus. After that, you shouldn't use because it will take a lot of memory. And if you observe here, if in the comment from the opening, right? If you see here, what is saying? Don't use GUI mode for load testing, only for test creation and debugging. For load testing, use CLI mode was an on GUI. What is saying? So he's saying that GUI means the UI, this interface, right? This interface. So you are saying that don't use this at all because it will take a lot of memory. So instead of that, you want to go in the CLI. Okay, but we'll go to that section again. So clear, right? Visual history. Now, assume that what visual history will do, visual history will display everything, no? Success or pass. But once running test, do you want to see the pass or fail scenarios or failed scenarios? Let's say assume that you're running for 1,000 users. Okay, in the viewer history, what are the requests you're willing to see? Passed one or failed one?
Failed ones.
Others?
Two scenarios. Each one is passed and how many are failed?
No, out of passed and out of failed, which one you would like to prefer?
Then
Passed
failed
or
one.
failed?
Fail.
Others? Yeah, failed, right?
Failed.
Because anyway it's passed, no, why you have to care? We want to check only failed one. So now, if you're running for more number of users, you will see a lot of requests here, correct? And it will display only few requests only. It will display around 1,000 or 500 only. If it's more than that, it won't display here. So at that time, you will be losing the data, correct? So in that case, we can use the option here, right side, you see log display only. If you check the errors, so it will display the errors only. Suppose if I run the script now, see it execute the script, but it won't display. Because why? I kept here errors. Same as like if I want to check the success, then I check this one. So it will display success and it will display the failures. So don't forget that. If you click on errors and you forget and you don't know what is happening, right? I mean, initial days. So you are running a script and you won't see here. And you don't know whether script is running or not. That's why you have to be careful with this log display. So if it is display here, so that at least we are saving some much of memory. Log display errors. Okay. Clear, right? V registry. Everyone. Okay. So this V registry is only helpful for testing and debugging purpose. Right now. Okay. Actually, I want to tell one thing. Yeah. Okay. Same as now. Like V registry, we have V registry table. So what is difference? V registry nothing but it display the things in a tabular format. So from this point of listeners onwards, it won't having the response content or request content. It will be displaying only the metrics. Okay. You see here, it displays sample one, means how many total number of requests, the start time, the thread group. You see thread group 2, 1. Did I given 2 here? No, right? In the name. No, thread group, na? So by default, it will take the thread group 2 and thread group 1. And inside the request, now sample time here. So in the viewers, what we saw? We saw load time. Correct. Now in the viewers table, it's a sample time. So both are response times only. So now it displays millisecond. Use status. Based on 200 response code, it displays the status here. And bytes, send bytes, same latency and everything. This is connect time you see, right? 0 here. Because it already execution is done. Like this. Same as like same whatever we discussed, right? Display, but it won't display the your request and response. It will only advantage of this is our we display the number of requests. You can see here, right? The bottom. See number of samples. And display the last response times, last request data. That's okay. But this is the main thing. Okay. Yeah. As I told you in the video history, right? So it will display the only limited. If you're going a higher load number of tests, it won't display everything and everything. I mean, it will display only last section. Suppose assume that if a script will trigger 50,000 requests, it will display only around 500,000 of lost. So you'll be losing like 49,000. If you got error, right? And it will display the error here. And you want to check what is the error. And you can't see in the viewers because you display error means you should know, right? What is the error? Whether scripting error or server error, is geometry issue, should know, na? Then only you fix the issue, script. So without seeing what type of error, can you fix it? No, right? So we should be having to display here. So one more option is we have to go jmeter.property file. So initially I mentioned, right, property file is important of jmeter because everything configuration of that from that file only. So let's go to the bin folder. Just search for jmeter properties. See jmeter.property file. So if you go through this file line by line, you will understand half of the jmeter tool. Half of the jmeter tool you will understand from this property file only. Okay, let's open in the Notepad++. Okay, so you will see this is a property file. If you see, this is like around 1300 lines of code. So as of now, we look into the view registry. So just Control F, search for view registry. View registry. Okay, not this one. Find next. Got only here. Okay. If you see here, view registry sample will limit 10,000. So it will display the 10,000 lines. After that, it won't display. Suppose if your script is expecting more than that, what you have to do now? Just uncomment this line. Okay. See. sample will limit. Okay. Yeah. Max size. Yeah. So you get unresponsive and response contain very long lines. So we break lines by adding artificial line breaks. We used max line size. From even about setting you can ask long view for your switch to simple viewer mode is faster to run. So you can switch off it by setting -1. Yes. So set -1 here. It will display each and every line. So whenever you change the property files, right, you have to restart the JMeter to implement those changes. But in our case, we can't see, right? We have a limited number of cases. But you should remember this line. Okay, whenever in the video, if you're not able to see the data, as when I'm going for higher load test, you have to come into JMeter property file and you have to enable this line. Update with the -1. Okay, it's clear, right? Video history, video stable. Everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's run. Let's say assume that I'm using 10 users. Okay, I've kept 3 loop. Okay, I'll disable thread group 2. So disable and delete instead of deleting, right? We can disable it also. So right click, disable. Means it will be there, but it won't run. Like how we disable these things. Now, instead of deleting it, if you delete it, then again you have to run or add. So instead of we don't want require, you can disable it. Okay. So now I have one request here. Okay. So I have given an 10 and 3. If I run the script now, what is the total number of requests?
30.
Others? How many requests will come?
30.
30, right? 10 into 3 into 1. Okay. Let's say if I run the script now in the video table, right? We got everything. Correct. We got all the response times of all 30 all 30 requests. Okay. And if you see here, we have 1616 are nothing but the users. Correct. If you see 116 means is the same loop count. Correct. 1616 here means 60 user, thread group 1, same loop count. I mean loop count 1, loop count 2. Correct. Now I don't want to see this value. I want to this value only at initial stage. I want to kind of average, right? If my client asks what is our response time means, can I tell like 1300, 1300, 1200, 1200? No, right? I need one common figure to report it. If someone asks how the individual pages are responding, how individual users are dating that, then we come to view table and we can say, okay, this user has this, like this, like this. But if someone asks what is our average response time, or how their page is behaving, with the help of this data, can we do that? No, right?
No.
With this response time, we can't do that. That's where you have to use aggregate report. Test plan, add, listener, aggregate report. So this aggregate report helps us to nothing but aggregates each and everything based on page by page. Okay, suppose whenever the page name is common, irrespective of the loop, irrespective of the user, it will club all the things in a single page data. Suppose if I run the script now, clear and run. In the videos table, if you see, it got stuck at 27. Okay, fine. Aggregate report. If you see here, it clubbed everything into 27 requests. And see only one line. Out of 27 is 28. Okay. We should get 30, right? I think the 2 users are struck, I guess. Let me start and clear it, run again. 11, 21, 30. Okay. Yeah. So you got 30. So for 30, your average response time is 743 milliseconds. Average load time, sample time, it's all nothing but our response time only. By default, the units are milliseconds. So now this will tell Okay, for get status request of 30 requests of 10 users of group count 3, your average is 743 milliseconds. It means 0.7 second. You understood, right? This is the value which we have to tell to each and every one. Okay, this is our average. Now, out of this average, what is minimum and maximum? If you come to here, this minimum is 414 and maximum is 145. Means out of 30 requests, one request is having 4.4 second and one request is having 1.4 second. Okay, and the error percentage is 0. Out of 30, let's assume 10 are got failed. You will see here 30%, 33% failure. Okay, so this is the main value which we have to report. And if someone asks how internally values are defining, right? In that case, then we're going to read this table and we'll debug how the pattern of users are there. Otherwise, we have to go to the aggregate report is of the reporting the common value. It's clear, no? For each page, we need this value, right? We can't tell all 20 or 30 sets values. We need an average, a combination of aggregation of each and everything. Okay, it's clear. At least forget about other values. Minimum and maximum average. You got this one, na? These three
Yes.
columns.
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Here throughput also important, right?
Right. Yes, that's we'll
Mm.
discussing in the next class. Okay. Stopping.